Hi guys, I hope that you're doing well. Today I would like to talk about this new moon in Cancer on the 28th or 29th of June, depending on where you are in the world. I want to say a couple things about this before I move on to each sign. This new moon is in the square to Jupiter, right in the exact square, and it's also conjunct Lilith. And I typically don't really use Lilith, just like I don't use Chiron unless it's a conjunction, and not just a conjunction unless it's a conjunction to with a specific event, like a new moon, for example. And here, typically, something like this can indicate our emotions being a little bit poisoned by exaggeration, right? Because we have Jupiter here, so with Jupiter we like to expand, we like to exaggerate, we like to be overly optimistic. With the square to the new moon, there is a new chapter coming to our life, and we're excited for it, but we may be overextending ourselves a little bit, or we may be overly excited emotionally about this. But Lilith here, sitting right on this new moon, can talk about the reality not being as bright and huge and expansive as what we could have imagined, right? If, for example, Lilith is in the financial sign, well, maybe we're expecting some kind of a great reward from our financial venture, but then we still get a reward and it's just more realistic, and we tend to be disappointed about that, right? Lilith adds that kind of bitter aftertaste or spicy aftertaste. In this case, it's Cancer, right? Cancer is emotions and family, that private life, and Lilith there can spice it up a little bit. We can feel confused, we can feel overwhelmed, we can feel offended as well. We can feel like our family misunderstands us, or that, you know, there is something going on with the family dynamic that just doesn't sit right with us, doesn't feel right, because Cancer rules the family, right? And also, of course, mothers. There can be some kind of resentment that may come up between a mother and a child. That can also be the case, but I would say that it's still a new chapter, it's still a new beginning. It's just that for the first couple weeks of it unfolding, you may feel weird about it, you may feel uncertain, you may feel maybe this isn't what you got, you asked for something else and this is what you got, right? It's like Lilith is doing a lot of tricks there to make you feel like you deserved something else, or that this is wrong, or there is some kind of resentment, some kind of confrontation that needs to come up. However, Lilith likes to play tricks with us, right? And here in the sign of Cancer, if I'm remembering correctly, it's usually about a 9-ish month cycle in each sign. So when it was in Gemini, it was doing some crazy stuff, and now it's in Cancer, you know, possibly bringing up some emotional traumas, emotional confusion, and emotional pain between us and our family members, someone that we share private life with, right? So it's a tricky one, it is, but for everyone it's going to play out in a different area of life. Let's start with Aries. Hi Aries. So for you guys, a new moon in Cancer is happening in the 4th house, and it's squaring Jupiter in the 1st, and Lilith is also in your 4th house along with the new moon. There is potentially this thought that your family is in some way against you, or maybe you are just misunderstanding them, they are misunderstanding you. There may seems to be an idea to expand something here. Maybe it actually is connected to you, to your personal relationships, to you and your future, to you and your contracts, your connections, to your growth, to your personal growth in some way. But it has to be either approved by the family, or it has to somehow come through the family, or maybe in another way property as well, right? There may be this urge to go and do something new for yourself, and again, there is a sense of family having to approve this somehow or talk to you about this, and you may get a feeling with this. Yes, you are getting approved by them, let's say, or you are getting their support, but there is some bitterness connected to it. It's like it's not all that simple. You know, maybe a family member can speak up and you may feel like maybe they're against my idea, or maybe they're against my relationship, or maybe, you know, they don't like my new direction, but they're just hiding it. There is that shadiness almost within the family, while there is some kind of a new beginning that's happening there. And you could also, for example, complete a project when it comes to property, right? Get it ready to sell it or to rent it out, or maybe you found a place where you want to move, right? But there is a little bit of shady energy going on there. For example, a mistake in the contract. Lilith loves to put mistakes. You know, there could be maybe some misunderstandings with landlords, with roommates. Maybe the area, you know, where the house is may feel kind of weird and dark in some way. You may have some kind of suspicions, but at this, and you know, with Jupiter, with the square to Jupiter, before this, you could have been like, this is the best house, you know, I cannot wait to move there, I cannot wait to live there. And then once you're there, it's like, well, it could play out that way, yes. However, it's still a new beginning. It will be unfolding for the next 6 months. These are the energies that you're going into it with. However, once you're actually there, things are going to unfold and be fine again. However, the initial step, it might be a little bit tricky. There might be some disappointments. There might be some misunderstandings with the family. You may feel like they're against you in some way. You may feel like you don't have enough of their support. But also watch out for the tendency to overextend yourself for someone, not over exaggerate your abilities necessarily, which it could be the case, you know, like I can do this all, but in fact, you don't have the right schedule for this. You don't have the right energy for this, right? Try and maybe limit yourself a little bit in terms of ambitions, at least for the time being, because Lilith can really pinch you from the side of your family or from the side of the property that you've been getting ready for, to where you may feel disappointed. And we don't want to be disappointed. We want to go into this new beginning, you know, with positive feelings, with positive goals. So, yeah, I would say that do not hype yourself up. Do not expect maybe something too great to come out of a certain venture. Just be realistic. Be dry and realistic about the goals and about expectations, and you will be fine, dear Aries. Thank you so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Taurus. Hi, Taurus. For you guys, this new moon is happening in the 12th house, well, I'm sorry, not in the 3rd house, and it is squaring Jupiter in the 12th house. So, you know, there is the bitterness that comes with Lilith, and it is positioned in your 3rd house. There may be possibly a study of some kind, class, course that you are getting ready to take, and here you go. The opportunity did come up. You're potentially starting on that journey, right? You are taking the course, you are studying, or maybe you have been just recently introduced to someone and you're developing that connection. You are going through, you know, kind of like the initial steps of connecting with someone, networking potentially. There may be a new website venture that maybe you are going on. Maybe you are about to build a website. Maybe you're about to write an article or a book. And there seems to be this really exciting opportunity to push this forward, to make something out of it, right? Whether it's a class or something of your own, like an addition to your business or to your blog. However, you know, with the square to Jupiter in the 12th house, there may seem to be restlessness maybe connected to it. There may seem to be that feeling of wanting to overextend yourself, wanting to do too much. And, you know, Jupiter in the 12th house can also be a little harsh sometimes, because we're overdoing something when we are not resting. It actually pressures us to rest, and it gives us more opportunities to kind of develop a spiritual side, mental health as well, rather than the physical, you know, kind of like an everyday routine needing to do something for work and stuff like that. 12th house doesn't like to work, and Jupiter from there is like, you are overextending yourself, you are exhausting yourself, so please take a break. And it could be that, you know, with Lilith being in the 3rd house conjunct the new moon, Lilith adds a little bit of suspicion. It's like, is this course really for me? You know, you may start feeling tired, you may start feeling restless with Jupiter in the 12th, and it's like, am I actually on the right path? You know, you may start doubting yourself. Is this new beginning for me? Is this website for me? Is this business for me? Like, you can really start pinpointing everything that's going on and actually questioning it. And Lilith is there to, you know, add a little bit of spice, but it's not the biggest deal, okay? It's not. It sometimes can also add some mistakes in the paperwork. So if you are collecting documents, for example, for immigration, right? Because 3rd house, 12th house, they can very well rule immigration documents and all kinds of documents, really. Make sure you double check everything with Lilith there, okay? It can sometimes make you feel even a little worried, a little scared regarding your path and your documents and where this is all going, if you're gonna need a lawyer. You know, it can sometimes do that, but I would say that the main key here is to take care of yourself and not overextend yourself. You may feel drained, you may feel very tired with Jupiter in the 12th, so please take care of yourself. You know, there may seem to be also an overly optimistic feeling that you're about to like travel or something, you're about to go on all these journeys, and then in reality maybe there is something else that you need to get done before you travel, or maybe the traveling plans aren't as smooth, right? There's something still there that needs to be done. That could also come up, but since it is a new beginning, you know, I do believe that you're going to receive the document or apply for a document, file for some kind of important application. You may, you know, start on your website, you may start a book, you may go join that class, right? It will happen. It's just that going into it, it's a little bit tricky because of all these suspicions and doubts and potentially tiredness as well with Jupiter. So please take care of yourself, dear Taurus. And now I'm moving on to Gemini. Hi, Gemini. So for you guys, new moon is happening in your 2nd house, and it is squaring Jupiter in the 11th house. It's also conjunct Lilith in the 2nd house. So this is where it gets tricky with finances, because, you know, in the 2nd house there is a new moon, so some kind of a new chapter in your career possibly, or just how you make your money, right? The income. Lilith there likes to put mistakes and also suspicions around the finances. There could be a venture that's about to happen. There could be also a reward that you may receive from this venture, right? Because Jupiter in the 11th house talks about our gains, our rewards. However, when you actually receive it, it's like something is off here. Either there is a sum of money missing, or maybe there is a sense of like not enough, you know, this isn't enough, this isn't what I wanted. Yes, unfortunately, it can bring the element of disappointment. You know, I didn't want this, I wanted something completely different, or the amount of money that I needed is different. And you know, it's not the most devastating situation. It is a, you know, it is an interesting new moon, but it's not like crazy. On the other hand, you know, this can make you feel disappointed with your gains, with what you've been working for and what you've been getting back. Okay, so the key here is to be very realistic about your gains, about your goals, about what you can obtain right now, how much you can make, how you can kind of correlate it with your schedule to where, you know, you are not overworking and where you're not basically just, let's just use this language, busting your ass for nothing, right? It's like you need to be easygoing, careful, take care of yourself. There is, I wouldn't say that it's influential too much on your mental health, but it can be influential on your goals, on your future goals. It's like, yes, here's this new financial venture, but there is a trick. You know, there is something about it that I don't like, something about it that I'm suspicious about. You know, what is this thing? And it's like, you could be you could launch something, you know, around this a new moon, and it may not unfold in a good way, in the way you want it to unfold right away. It can feel like you have maybe wasted some effort. However, just wait, you know, it will take, it's a 6-month cycle roughly, so you are going to be seeing the results from this. If this is just your first time, if this is just your first step, it's okay if it develops slowly. Just give it time to unfold. Do not get too disappointed yet. Also, do not get overly optimistic yet, because everything takes time to be built, right? So yeah, I would say that, you know, financially here there may be a little bit of confusion in terms of how much you worked for it and what you actually got in return. But thank you guys so much for watching. We're moving on to Cancer, the star of this show. Hi Cancer, so your new moon is happening in the first house. Lilith is also there, and it is squaring Jupiter in your 10th house. This is where Lilith can really be annoying, because it adds suspicion, it adds confusion, it adds kind of like that doubt and bitterness when it comes to your own personal growth. You may feel confused in terms of what to do now about your life, what to do now about your journey, right, your professional growth as well, since it is making a square to Jupiter in the 10th. It's almost like with this new moon there are some new developments coming regarding your career, possibly regarding your personal life as well. There may also be a very significant change in the life of maybe a father figure or one of your parents, and it's exciting in a way, but you feel like you lose yourself in this process. You haven't quite found yourself, maybe some of you, okay? I don't mean that, you know, every Cancer. This is especially important, I think, for Cancer rising, right? And obviously not every Cancer rising is so confused about themselves, but because Lilith spends, if I'm not mistaken, around 9 months in a sign, and it's been in your sign for, I think, at least a couple of months, it can make you feel like you are not sure about the future. You're not sure which direction to take your profession, your life overall, your personal life. It can make you feel doubtful. It can also make you feel not paranoid but suspicious about others, about your social circle, about your partners, about your parents, about your family. You know, it can make you feel like you're not liked or you're not appreciated, and you know, your status as well. It's like you're confused what to do with your status, what to do with your professional goals, but give it time. Give it time, because Lilith, realistically, it's super annoying, but we can just, you know, throw it to the side and move forward. And this will be unfolding for, you know, it is a 2-week cycle. However, it's actually a 6-month cycle until the next full moon in your sign. So until then, you know, there will be some very interesting developments happening between you and other people, potentially a new relationship, potentially a new contract, a new job offer. It will be very, very interesting. But right now, you're either, you know, it could be that you may be either overly optimistic about it, and you have to be realistic here, because there is a tendency to get disappointed. You know, one step at a time, that's important here. One step at a time, do not over exaggerate, right? But on the other hand, this can be a lot of doubts about yourself, about your abilities, about your professional goals, and where you belong, and if you're even worth anything. You know, unfortunately, maybe it could be even extreme for some people. But the key here is to be patient. Maybe at first it may be rocky, but you will see how it's unfolding for the next few months, and you will see that you've done the right job, you've done the right thing by sticking around and seeing it grow. Maybe it's not gonna grow all at once, right? Not overnight, but it is, I believe, something that's going to give you benefits later. And if you are going through some kind of a hard time right now, and this new moon is just like another pinch, right? Like another stab almost. I feel like a lot of it has to do with self-doubt. A lot of it, sometimes Lilith can bring not necessarily depression, but fears around life, and I feel like a lot of it, since it's in your first house, it comes from you, right? So I would try and stay more confident about the future, about life overall, about your professional goals, and just continue moving forward no matter what. Thank you so much for watching, Cancer. Now we're moving on to Leo. Hi, Leo. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your 12th house, and it is in the square to Jupiter in your 9th house, and Lilith is also in the 12th house with the new moon. Oh, so let me just get this one out of the way. If you are trying to immigrate or travel somewhere, the documents could be ready by this time, or maybe you're just now gonna start applying for those documents, for those visas and stuff like that. However, there is Jupiter, first of all, rules the 9th house, right? So it is very comfy there. So it can't be that bad, but at the same time, there is a feeling that maybe you are a little bit too optimistic regarding your move or your travel. Maybe you do not quite have all the facts yet, or you do not quite have all the documents, all the proof, evidence, whatever yet, or maybe you just simply need to take care of something else before you can move forward. So there may be, for example, a new step in your immigration process or in your visa passport process that may come up, but it's going to be unfolding for a little while, and it's not just something that is going to happen overnight and it's super easy. No, it is a process. Okay, it is a process. And with Jupiter in the 9th house, yes, it is expanding your horizons, but at the same time, there is a cost to it. And Lilith being in the 12th house with this new moon, there can be some suspicion, there can be some doubt, some fear sometimes in extreme cases around this trip, around this new horizon in your life, whatever that may be. Maybe it's not travel, maybe you're trying to expand your business, or maybe you're trying to just gain more knowledge for your career. Maybe you're just enrolling in some kind of classes, courses, college. But there is doubt there is fear there is some lots of mental work going on. It's like you might be doubting yourself, you might be maybe extremely exhausted, and you understand that there is still so much ahead of you. And there is, because this is a new moon, so that's a new cycle, right? 6 months or so from now. Yes, lunations, they're 2 weeks long, but we have a full moon in Cancer 6 months from now. So until then, it's all going to be decided. Most likely you're going to travel somewhere in the next 6 months. Most likely you're going to immigrate if this is something that is important to you. But, the feeling of maybe fear or suspicion that something's wrong with the documents, something's wrong with the lawyer, something's wrong with immigration, something, it can be overwhelming. It can be overpowering the positive feelings from this. Only in the beginning, though. Only in the beginning, because Lilith is not that big of a deal, but it can spice things up, and it can honestly not spice them up. It can add salt to your dish, okay? Another thing here is that maybe you are gonna start working on something behind the scenes, and you would prefer to keep it behind the scenes. However, it's really hard to, with Jupiter being in the 9th, with the square, with Lilith being in the hidden house, it's either trying to bury things even deeper or trying to expose them. So there may be potentially something that can come up. It could be about you, it could be about someone else, it could be about a hidden project that you're cherishing and you're purposely keeping it secret. It could be that this somehow may come up to the surface, and either because somebody's feeling overly optimistic for you, or you're feeling overly optimistic about this and you cannot wait and you go and tell people. You know, this could also kind of happen, but at the same time, you know, this is just like a warning from Jupiter that, hey, if you're overly optimistic here, if you're not patient, we will definitely tell everybody your secrets. However, if you just keep it you know, if you are kind of holding on, if you know what to do, kind of how to act around this new moon, that you can actually keep it behind the scenes and perfect it in the next 6 months. So it's not saying that it's going to happen, it's just saying that there is a tendency, and you know, it could be a possibility, and in order to still remain for it to be remain the secret, you need to kind of tone it down a little bit and continue working behind the scenes, continue working on your documents, continue working on your education, and it's all going to be all right. And yes, you know, obviously something about a school can come up that's like weird and confusing and suspicious, and you know, you may wonder whether or not you are actually enrolled in the right school or in the right class, but you will know it as time goes on, and I think you will be totally fine with the results. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Virgo. Hi Virgo. So for you, new moon is happening in your 11th house, and it's squaring Jupiter in the 8th house. This is where things may get, well, with Lilith in the 11th as well, this is where you may feel slightly disappointed in terms of the results that are coming from a financial venture. 11th house is our results, our rewards, and Lilith there can have a tendency to make you feel disappointed, or maybe resentful, or maybe suspicious, you know, in terms of like something's off with maybe how you're treated, how you're rewarded. Maybe you start feeling like people at your job despise you, they don't like you. This is why maybe they are mistreating you or not paying you well. You know what I mean? You could be feeling that way. You could also be feeling really bitter about a friend of yours. You know, there could be someone in your circle that is trying to take advantage of you, or is being just not a good friend. And there could be maybe a situation that comes up where this person gets exposed. A situation comes up where you have a conversation and you're done for good. And while this isn't a full moon, this is a new moon, a new beginning. This is just a new chapter, you know, between you and someone in your circle, and it can be of a negative matter potentially. 8th house is secrets, right? Jupiter in the 8th house expands all of that stuff. It comes out through other people, through conversations. So you and someone else may actually have that conversation where, oh, why didn't you tell me this if it's been bothering you 6 months from now, 6 months ago, right? Or like, why is it coming out now? Jupiter will definitely make it come out. On the other hand, this could be possibly just a friend kind of leaving, and you may feel a little bit confused, you know, because there is a new chapter in your friend's life, and while you would like to have them, you know, you may start feeling suspicious that maybe they don't really care anymore because they've got this new beginning going for them, you know. But at the same time, it may be honestly just a feeling of not being too satisfied with the rewards that you are currently receiving, especially financial rewards, right? However, this is a 6-month cycle, and it's just the beginning. You know, the beginning is kind of rough, but as you make progress, as you move forward, you will realize that yes, the rewards are great, and maybe they weren't in the very beginning, but that's why it was just the very beginning, and things have made progress, and maybe you've met better people and made a better social circle, and There is something here regarding your mental health, your emotional health. You know, you may not quite be feeling healthy right now, emotionally or mentally, but over time, it will actually get better. Over time, you will notice improvement, especially if you work with yourself, right, on your mental health. And financially, you know, let's say if there was something your partner was expecting and they got it, yes they did, but it wasn't quite enough or wasn't what you were both expecting, that could also be it. However, this is still a new moon, so there is something coming, you know, there is some kind of a reward coming here. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Libra. Hi Libra. So for you, new moon is happening in your 10th house, and it is squaring Jupiter in your 7th house. So this is a pretty important new moon for you guys. With Jupiter in the 7th house and a new moon in the 10th, you know, there is a new development happening in your career, possibly, or just connected to your status. For example, if you are getting married or getting divorced, or maybe you are applying for some immigration documents, you are trying to change your status in some way. There can be over optimism about it. There can be maybe this specific idea that you may have in mind, this specific situation, specific change maybe that you've been wanting. It will change, it will grow from here, but not necessarily in the way that you predicted or expected. Here the key is to maybe not to be overly optimistic, not overly confident, no, but maybe overly optimistic, and you know, you should not be overextending your energy here, because things are going to be unfolding at their own pace. And Lilith being in the 10th house with the new moon, you know, it can sometimes bring suspicion, it can bring doubts regarding your career, doubts regarding one of your parents, and suspicion that they may be kind of against you in some way. Doubts about your life direction, about your public image, about your status, you know, suspicion that something's going on behind the scenes, you know, that's Lilith. Doesn't mean it's true, but it definitely adds that bitterness to the situation. So while this career opportunity or whatever that might be is actually unfolding, and it's going to take maybe 6 months to unfold overall, but you have to just be patient with it. You have to know that you are moving in the right direction. And with you know, Jupiter in the 7th house, sometimes your partners can really hype it up for you, and then when you actually need them the most, they may just disappear in some way, you know, because with a square to Jupiter, we expect something there. We expect some kind of we are overly optimistic about that area, right? And with a square, it's like, so they promised me that they would be there and they weren't, and they promised me that they would do this and they didn't. And you know, there can be something like that. Also, maybe delays in contracts, you know, some kind of paperwork that you have to sign. That could also be you know, a thing with this new moon. But at the same time, I think that this new career direction, or overall, even if it's just a life direction, is going to be very deeply remembered by you, and you will know that this was the right thing to do. It's just right now it may feel kind of confusing, and even you may feel doubts about it, but just give it time, remain patient, and you'll be totally fine, dear Libra. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Scorpio. Hi Scorpio. So for you, new moon is happening in your 9th house, and a very nice house for you, and it is in the square to Jupiter in your 6th house. Take care of your health, please, because, you know, with the Jupiter square, there is always over optimism, overextending yourself, over exaggeration. And in the house of health, you know, we could literally be extending our energy too much. You know, we may feel like we can do it all, and you know, we want to do it all, we have that drive to do it, but at the same time it's like, no, you need to maybe organize your schedule better. You need to maybe take care of yourself better. You need to visit that doctor that you've been needing to visit for a while before you can go on this trip, right? Like you maybe know that there was an issue that happened in the past, you know, with your health when you were, for example, on the plane to, I don't know, Europe. But you didn't do anything about it, and now you have to, right? And it's almost like you're not gonna go until you take care of this health issue. You know, I don't know, just an example, like blood pressure, you know, something like you need to take care of it. And you know, Jupiter in the 6th house is it can be really you know, extending, for some people it could be extending their healthy routine, like a healthy diet is thrown there suddenly, you know, workouts every day and all that. But for others it could be overextending in terms of, you know, thinking that, well, my energy levels are relatively high right now, I can do it all, but maybe not, right? So I feel like here you may go on this beautiful journey that will be unfolding for the next 6 months possibly, but you need to also make sure that your routine is in sync with it and your health is also in sync with it, because yes, the journey is absolutely beautiful, it's optimistic, it's positive, right? But it does require a little bit of work on your end. And another thing is, you know, Lilith is here kind of adding salt to the dish, and it's in the 9th house next to the new moon. It can feel like you may be you're suspicious about your future. You may be doubting your spiritual path a lot. For example, something has happened and you didn't really expect it to happen because you've been, you know, having faith in something this whole time, and then the opposite happened, and you know, you could be doubting your spiritual journey now. You could be doubting your education. You could be doubting that you actually deserve this new beginning. You know, sometimes it can make us kind of fearful and doubtful and suspicious of others. You know, it can make us definitely suspicious of others. There may be some shady stuff, actually shady stuff, or you may think that it's some shady stuff. Usually it's just that you think that it's some shady stuff happening with foreign affairs. You know, if you work with foreigners, they're your clients, maybe you have family abroad or just friends abroad, you know, just something connected to other cultures, other countries. It may be weird to you and suspicious, and you may be doubting whether or not you should even take on this new beginning. For example, I don't know, move to France for a boyfriend. You know what I mean? And it's like you may be doubting that path a little bit right now, but don't, because you know, this is going to be unfolding in the next 6 months, and I do believe that it's going to be something wonderful for you. Just make sure you take care of your energy levels, of your health. You know, do not overextend yourself. Don't think that you can do it all in one day or all in one trip. You know, there's also a thing, maybe you may actually have an opportunity to travel to work somewhere internationally, right? Because Jupiter is in the 6th house, adding those work projects as well. But on the other hand, it could just be that you will be traveling and you're excited about it, or maybe you will be going to school, but at the same time you have to work. It's like it's not quite a vacation, or it's not quite you know, it's not quite just school. It has to be work too, and that could be really draining on you. So just take care of that, dear Scorpios. And now we're moving on to Sagittarius. Hi, Sagittarius. For you guys, new moon is happening in your 8th house, and it's squaring Jupiter in your 5th house. So Lilith in the 8th house, I have it natally in the 8th house, and it's a tricky one. You know, with the new moon there is some kind of a new beginning coming, possibly in your partner's financial life. There may be something that they have worked hard for, and it's coming, you know, some kind of a financial, especially if it's regarding finances, you know, financial reward of some kind. But with Lilith there, it may make you feel suspicious about this money, where it comes from, or maybe just overall the talk about shared resources, the talk about the mutual bank accounts, the talk about where the money is going, there may be some misunderstandings there. If you have a partner who you share the finances with, there may be some misunderstanding there in terms of, well, you know, is this what we are spending the money on, or I thought you wanted to invest into this, you know, and there can be some suspicion and some doubts going on regarding what your partner wants to do with the money. Another thing is, you know, there could be money coming to you, but there is still, with Lilith in the 8th especially, there can be some illegal activity happening, you know, when it comes to money, some kind of bank fraud, and I would really watch out for that. You know, I would be careful, you know, clicking on links and just making sure that your bank information doesn't get stolen or anything like that, because I feel like it can be a little shady with Lilith in the 8th and with a new moon like that. You know, gambling, watch out for that. Watch out for too much gambling or anything like playing something, you know, for money, because Jupiter, it's in the square to Jupiter in your 5th house. How else can it play out? Well, I would say that, you know, if it's nothing shady or any kind of fraud that may potentially you be a witness of or may potentially happen to you or your partner, there is also just some money coming to you, but you're still doubting where that money came from necessarily. You know, it's not too bad, it's not too big of a deal, but it can feel weird at first going into this, because, you know, the cycle is 6 months, so it will still unfold naturally, and you know, you will be okay with everything. It's just that the rocky start is now and you aren't sure how to feel. You kind of want to be excited about this, right? Jupiter in the 5th, you want to be excited for it, but at the same time you are suspicious about it, and it's a weird energy. On the other hand, you know, with Jupiter in the 5th and new moon in the 8th, there may be some kind of a partnership that may come up, or just a connection to someone. It's romantic and it's intense and it's intimate as well. And you may be, you know, going into this new, very intense cycle with a specific person, but at the same time, you're not quite sure about them. You're doubting them. You might be suspicious about them. You may feel like maybe there is a trick to this, and Lilith can make us feel that way. But at the end of the day, you know, this intense connection, if there is one unfolding for you, it will be with a purpose. And I would say just kind of go with it. Be careful, of course, you know, but go with it and see how it unfolds for yourself. All right, what else can I add? I think that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now I'm moving on to Capricorn. Hi Capricorn, I hope that you are doing well. So new moon is happening in Cancer in the 7th house for you, very important new moon, and it's squaring Jupiter in the 4th. So new moon is happening between you and someone else, right? And Lilith is also there in the 7th house. It may sometimes add bitterness to the situation. It may add suspicion to a specific relationship or a contract that you currently have going on. It's like everything seems to be all right, and Jupiter can bring kind of that excitement. For example, you are trying to move in with a person and you're trying to make it quick. You know, you're trying to like be like, come on, let's do this. But at the same time, it's like, wait, am I rushing? You know, am I going too fast with this? Maybe we shouldn't move in together right now, right? There could be those thoughts. And Lilith in the 7th can just make a partner look freaking suspicious. I'm sorry, but it can make them look like they're odd and that they have something after you, like they're after you in some way. And Lilith is very dark, right? But it doesn't always mean that it's the reality of the situation. It can just mean that, you know, we are doubting a lot of times even ourselves, you know, because Lilith here opposing your first house, you may be doubting yourself here in this relationship. You may feel like it's going to be a continuance of something that you've been through before, right? And also with Jupiter in the fourth, I mean, there could be maybe some approval that you might be waiting from family, or maybe your family is speaking up in a way, maybe regarding a certain contract that you are going through, or regarding a certain relationship that you're going through. And not only that, you might be doubting yourself a little bit, but at the same time, or this person or this contract, whether a contract is legit, whether this opportunity is legit, whether this sale of a house, you know, whether this agent is legit or this buyer is legit. Jupiter here in the fourth house, it also kind of intensifies this, it hypes it up in some way. You know, you may feel like your family is either completely against you or they're for you, but they want something from you. It's like, it's this mess, honestly, in a way, you know, but it's only happening for the first maybe couple of weeks, because at the end of the day, if we look at it this way, you know, it is a 6-month cycle, so you will have these things unfolding over time. And yes, I do believe that there is this interesting contract that does come around, and you may have to be a little bit tricky yourself, not shady. I mean, why am I advising this? Like, you have to be, you know, sneaky in some way, possibly. Or you may have to maybe exaggerate the truth in some way, you know, not lie, obviously, and do illegal stuff, but exaggerate maybe in some way for your benefit, because that's how you may get the property that you need. That's how maybe you may sell the property. God, probably people are just gonna unsubscribe from me for this. But, you know, Lilith can be like illegal stuff and shady stuff, and Lilith can be something that we are projecting that we are doing, right? In regards to a contract, in regards to a relationship. Maybe you may use some kind of charm here to convince a partner to, I don't know, to do something. I don't know, but you get my point. So thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Aquarius. Hi Aquarius, I hope that you guys are doing well. Your new moon is happening in the 6th house, and it's squaring Jupiter in the 3rd. So it's a big deal when it comes to your health. You may actually find out now, you may discover now what maybe has been wrong with you. And you know, the 3rd house, that's the information coming your way, but the information is crooked in some way. It's not deceiving, but it may be making you either overly optimistic about your health, or it may make you, you know, disappointed. It's like you were hoping for a specific result, for a specific message, for specific information, but the result that you may receive, or, you know, the diagnosis or just the message isn't quite, you know, what you maybe expected. And this new moon is with Lilith in the 6th house, and Lilith can make us feel doubtful about and fearful about our health. It can make us feel you know, almost like suspicious about something, that we may have a specific disease, that, you know, it can make us feel fearful. It's not strong energy, I'm just gonna say it right away, so I don't want anybody to get paranoid about their health. Plus, it's more internal. We feel doubts, and we feel like we've been tricked by a doctor, by the system, by the healthcare, you know, the whole system and so on. But in reality, I just don't think that maybe we should expect too high of a result, you know, because anything can come, and we should be realistic going into this. Another thing, if your health is fine, you're not dealing with health, what could this be? There could be some kind of a new work project, but again, with Lilith there is some kind of a tension between you and maybe colleagues, or someone that you are managing, people at work. I would say generally people at work, and they may, you know, you may feel suspicious about them, and that is difficult, you know, when it has to be some kind of teamwork. However, I think that over time this project is going to come to fruition, because you will be given about, you know, 6 months to finish it or so. the further into 6 months it goes, the easier it's going to be, the less suspicious it's going to be. You will feel just fine. It's just that as it's starting, you may feel like maybe you're in the wrong team. Maybe you've got some kind of a health issue when in reality, maybe you don't. Maybe you thought that this whole time you were doing the right thing, you were doing the right routine, and then Jupiter in the third house is like, well, this isn't the information that you want to hear, but this is the truth. So maybe change it now, change your diet, change the doctor. Right, you may, with Lilith, it's also a little dark, so it can like bring up some, I don't know, some weird things like about the hospital, maybe, you know. It could be not just self-doubt, it could also be like, oh, that's interesting news, you know, some shady stuff can come out about doctors and stuff like that. But also about your health, you know, because like maybe you were treating one thing, but in reality you actually have to treat something else, and you felt deceived this whole time by the system. So yeah, overall I would say that if there is a health issue, it is going to improve over time. Just do not overextend yourself, do not exaggerate your abilities, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, rest as much as you can. And regarding work projects and connections to coworkers, if there is something weird that comes up at work, but yet there is this project that maybe you need to do not be too emotionally connected to it, you know, just do it because it just needs to be done. Really, that is the advice I would give here. But thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Pisces. Hi Pisces. So your new moon is happening in the 5th house and it's squaring Jupiter in the 2nd. I feel like for you guys, maybe there are some expenses when they are connected to children, for example. And you know, Lilith being in the 5th house, you may be very suspicious about where this money is actually going. Is it actually going to the betterment of the child, or maybe the school wants to, I don't know, buy something random, you know, and but you understand that as a part of the class maybe you have to pay it. And there is a child that maybe wants that money from you, and you are potentially doubting them where, you know, where that money is going. You know, is it really going to these new shoes, or what are you actually trying to do with this money? Lilith is annoying because it does make us suspicious, it does make us doubtful, it makes us feel like people, the world can be against us in a specific area of life where it's happening. You know, when it comes to romance, for example, there may be this connection that may be coming up. It's not quite the 7th house, right? It's not quite your partner. It's not quite, you know, someone that you are in a serious relationship with. But they could eventually be, right? From the 5th house into the 7th eventually. But it is the connection that you just don't trust, maybe, this connection. You know, you may feel like they are suspicious in some way, or they're trying to use you in some way. It could be that, you know. And with Jupiter square to Jupiter in the 2nd, it's like it's affecting your self-esteem. With the Jupiter in the 2nd house, there can sometimes, it can make people overly optimistic about what they can do and about their abilities to spend, abilities to make money, abilities to overall to provide, right? It could be overspending, right? A lot, maybe for your child, maybe for something fun, for like a vacation of some kind, you know, maybe for another person that you are romantically involved with. So watch your wallet around this time, because there could be some spending, right? It could be a lot of expenses, or it could be just you splurging as well. But it can also potentially mess with your mental state, or I should say with your self-esteem a little bit, if you are strongly doubting this person, because there is a new development within this connection, right? Or maybe you're just simply meeting a new person, or if you're single around this time, and it's all great, but there is this doubt, there is this suspicion. So I would say just give it time. Obviously be careful, you know, but give it time, allow it to unfold, because I think that at the end of 6 months you'll know exactly where where that money went. You know exactly what is happening in your child's development, right? There may be some exciting things, you know, to be happy for, a great relationship that can come out of this, but the start is a little dark, it's a little rocky, it's a little confusing. So yeah, that's all I have to say here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.